The Slice question tool brings an engaging new activity to your classes by prompting students to identify a feature on an image by placing a pin. It gives them immediate feedback as to whether they correctly or incorrectly identified the feature, and it gives you insight into student understanding that can inform class discussions or assess student knowledge. Choose whether the activity is designed for formative class activities where students have several attempts at a question, or for summative exam-style questions. To create a question, load an image that you'd like your learners to identify a feature on. Click the Access the Question tool button. Start building a question by clicking Add a Question in the My Questions area. Select the Drop a Pin option, which is used to get learners to identify a feature. Choose the type of pin that will be available to the learners, a marker, a pin, or a star. Add the name of the feature to be identified in the box provided. Next, we set up the answer. The first button allows you to set the field of view that will be shown to those answering the question. Part of the process of creating the question will be marking out all of the correct regions on the image. For some features, it's appropriate to show learners the image in its entirety. For other features that repeat multiple times across the image, it may be preferable to restrict the field of view. To do this, click Set Field of View, click inside the blue box provided, and then reposition it, or drag in the sides or corners to choose a smaller field. Click Confirm when you are happy with your selection, or Clear to start again. It can be updated at any time by returning to this button. Now that the field of view has been set, it is time to annotate the image to mark out the correct regions. Click Add Annotation. Pins dropped inside the answer region will be considered correct. There are two options for marking the boundaries of the feature. The first, Create a New Annotation, allows you to mark out the feature using the polygon tool. Search and select existing annotations allows you to take advantage of any annotations that you've previously made on an image or those that exist as public layers. Make your selection and click Add to get started. When using Create an Annotation, click the polygon option at the top left of the screen. Click on the image to get started and click around the outline of the feature that you would consider correct. If there are multiple correct regions on the image, select the polygon tool again for each shape and continue marking out all regions you would consider correct. On the left-hand panel, there is an optional feature description field. This can be used to provide feedback and extra information shown to all learners, both those who got it correct and those who were incorrect. You may choose to add information about the identifying characteristics of the feature, its function, etc. Blue is the default color for the region, but you have the option of selecting another color that is more appropriate considering the background colors of your feature and image. Click Done to save your work. We've now completed panel 1 of the question creation steps. Click Next to set up other information. Edit the question prompt that will be provided to the learners by clicking the pencil icon. Make any changes and click Save Prompt. The next field is optional and allows you to add supporting information that will be given to students above the question prompt. This may include any other information that a student would need to answer the question. For example, the tissue type, the stain, the disorder, or a case history. Our next step is optional but allows you to add additional feedback annotations that will be shown to students after they have attempted the question. These relate to common mistakes or misconceptions, or other features that students often confuse for the feature in question. You may need to consider whether they will impact how students answer a subsequent question. Let's add an extra annotation now, and this time I will use the Search and Select Existing Annotations option. This brings up a panel that shows me all of the layers I have on this image, and the annotations for each. Use the checkbox to select the individual annotations you want to add as feedback. You can choose more than one and all will be imported with their original colors and text descriptions. Click each feature title to edit them. You may want to edit your descriptions, the annotations themselves, or the colors that you've chosen. Once you've finished, click Next to move to the Settings panel. Our first option provides your learners with a fun way of gaining insight into their performance relative to their peers. After the students have completed answering the question, they will see pins marking the position of the first response provided by others who have answered the question. Unchecking this option means that students will only see their own responses. Next, we choose the number of responses students can make. After their first attempt, a button becomes available that will reveal the answer when they have finished their desired attempts. The second option allows you to choose a specific number of attempts. Next, choose how the answer will be revealed to students. The first option is to show learners the answer and feedback annotations after they have finished their attempts. There are two sub-options. The first being to display only the correct region, in which case additional feedback annotations will be hidden by default and can be turned on by the learner. This keeps the focus on the correct region. The second sub-option reveals all annotations, both correct and additional feedback, so the learners can immediately see if there is feedback related to the position of their incorrect pins. The final option provides an exam style of question that tells learners their response has been submitted, but doesn't reveal whether their response was correct or incorrect, and does not show the regions on the image. Responses can be exported and marks assigned for importing into your learning management system. Our final step is to add labels. These will allow you to differentiate different versions of the questions you've made and the audience you have shared them with. For example, the course name, tutorial group, and year. Lastly, test your question just as a learner will be answering it. Review the contextual information, the prompt, and select the pin icon to generate a pin to place on the image. Click and drag the pin until you're happy with its location. Click Check My Response. My pin was outside the correct regions and I received the incorrect feedback. Based on my settings, I'm given 2 more attempts. I click Try Again and collect another pin to place. I check my response again and receive the correct feedback. The answer is revealed to me and I can see the position of my previous incorrect attempt. Based on the settings, I can also see the feedback annotations. You can revisit any of the previous panels to make changes to your question. Once you're happy, click Save and Finish. Then return to Questions. Your question will appear in your My Questions list, and you can use the drop-down option next to the title to view, edit, delete, duplicate, share, add the question to a collection, or export responses. Video resources are also available for sharing a question, answering a question, and reviewing the responses to your question.